A real footprint is something you leave in the real world. And so a digital footprint is the footprint that you leave in the digital world. And no, it's not actually a print of your foot. It's all the information that's out there. And so let's take a look at some statistics. What you see on your screen is about people's belief and behavior. So 51% of millennials worry friends or family will share inappropriate personal data about themselves online. They worry about Aunt Josephine saying, hey, my niece or nephew is going in for surgery, that kind of thing. 55% of millennials believe that technology is robbing us of our privacy. And 70% believe that those younger than them have no sense of personal privacy. They don't even know what that really means, which I would agree with. Now, this information I'm going to tell you is 10 years old, but I've never found anything that's broken it down this way. I've got some other information I'll show you, but this, around 60 photos 10 years ago were uploaded to Instagram per second. I wonder how much that's increased. Quite a lot, I'm sure. An average Facebook user has 229 friends. That probably hasn't changed much because Facebook is that old. But 16 of whom they don't actually know. And that's probably changed. Like, do you ever friend people that you don't really know? You're like, oh, so-and-so knows them, click. Right? This usually scares people here. I don't really use Twitter much. I read some of the stuff that comes off there, but I don't have a Twitter account. The average Twitter user, though, has 126 followers, but only 35% of them are actually people. What does that mean? I mean, seriously, what does that mean? Well, Twitter is this open feed that's out there. Anybody can harvest data off of it, look at it, decide what to do with it. And so there's these bots, basically, little programs that they code, and they follow you and they follow what you're saying. Now, Twitter's got a lot of great stuff in it. I mean, you can tell where outbreaks are happening and all sorts of stuff with Twitter. But of course, everybody knows there's a bunch of junk out there too. And it is kind of scary that basically you have these computer programs and they're your followers and they're not people, not real people. So in any case, we put a lot of information out there that really is our digital profile, our digital footprint. What is the most important risk associated with disclosure of personal information on the web? So if you've given personal information, well, let's just put it this way. You have a Gmail account and you use it and you're describing your personal life in an email to somebody, and you don't really think about the fact that Google owns that, right? That's theirs. That's not your words, that's their words, and they can use it however they want. And so this is what people say. This is what they're worried about. By far the biggest is your information being used by third parties without your agreement. Now, quickly, that is a legal term that's used all the time. Let's say we have a discussion. I am the first party. You are the second party. Somebody listening in over here is a third party. Someone that you took that information from me and gave to is a third party. So what they're talking about is, there I am typing in my email, and I'm talking about my personal life and my Gmail account, and Google takes it, they're the second party, and they give it to the government, who's the third party. Right? You didn't agree to that. And that's what most people are worried about. And then, of course, your information being used to send you unwanted commercial offers. None of us like that junk mail. Your reputation being damaged, still 16%. Your identity being at risk, 19%. And then 11%, your views on your behaviors being misunderstood. I bet you this one is much, much bigger now, even though this is only about 3 years old. Due to what has happened with Facebook and elections and all of that. All right, so this is an interesting one. I put this one in here because it's really interesting. It's by Giga. Who should be responsible for privacy? More than 2/3 of consumers don't trust brands with their personal information. Heck yeah, I don't trust brands. And what do they mean by brands? They're talking about Google. They're talking about Facebook. They're talking about Ford, Chevy, whoever. That's a brand, right? I don't trust them with the data that they have on. Then this question is, sorry, I keep moving around the pictures, who should be responsible for privacy? And people actually said the individual. Now, why that is so frustrating to me is that as somebody in technology, you are giving up a ton of who you are to Google, to Facebook, to whoever it is. Use that, whoever that you're giving that information to. And the only option you have is not to. That's the only option you have. So you can be on Facebook and agree to give that up because Facebook's not going to budge, or you can not be on Facebook. So this doesn't make any sense to me. Brands should be responsible for protecting our privacy because they're the ones demanding that they have the data, right? If they weren't demanding to have the data, then yeah, it definitely would be us. But they are demanding. They're saying if you are going to be on our website, and honestly, we might be talking about Pizza Hut. You're going to be on our website, then the data we take from you is ours, and we're going to use it how we want, right? That's what they're all saying. So we don't really have control over that, other than to say, okay, well, I'm not using Pizza Hut, right? And it's not really too good of a solution. Over 2/3 of consumers are concerned about their security of personal data on ITO devices. Now, you may not be familiar with what those are, but those are Internet of Things devices, and they show you what that means. They're talking about Fitbits. They're talking about a computerized washing machine, a device that turns on and off the AC when you come in and out, to whoever made it. And so you walk in the house and now they know you're in the house, and you walk out of the house and now they know you're not in the house. That kind of information. Why should you really be concerned? This is a big reason. This was in 2015. 50% of employers polled said they use the web or social media to actually research the potential hires. Now, that does not mean that you put in your application and there's 200 of you and they went out and researched you. No, they've interviewed you, and now they're going to vet you and make sure that you're going to be okay to hire. And so they're going to go check out social media and see what's going on out there. There is actually programs that will do this for them. They can buy, go out and aggregate that data and bring it back to them. That's one of the ways those people get paid, right? So that was in 2015. Now, out of those people that actually are vetting you that way, 60% of them are looking for information that supports your qualifications. It's very nice to know. 56% of them want to see if you have a professional online persona. You should have a LinkedIn persona out there so they can find something that's professional about you out there. That's important. 37% want to see what other people are posting about you. And 21 admit that they're looking for reasons not to hire you. Not very nice, but that's what they're doing. All right, so how do we leave footprints? We leave them everywhere. Facebook obviously is a huge one. Twitter is a huge one. And the question is, what are you sharing on those sites? The next is like photo tagging other people. What are your friends sharing? I actually, on Facebook, it was a couple of years ago, it came up and said, you've been tagged in a photo. So, what? Went and looked at the photo. It was like a picture from some high school in 1910. I was like, oh, that wasn't me. So you need to check your security settings on Facebook and other things that you use. And how you do that is by going to a search engine and you're not logged into your accounts. Okay, this is important. You can't be logged into your accounts in that browser. And then you do a search for yourself and see what it pulls up. You're going to take a look on Bing, Google search, and you're going to use some background checks to actually see what's going on for yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do that right here. And then you're going to actually, and this is in your instructions, follow that and tell me what you find. And most students do not follow all that, and they get a poor grade on this one because they don't. So make sure you actually follow these steps and let me know what you find. Let me do a new share here, and we'll just pull up Safari, and I will go to Bing. I really don't find any difference between Google and Bing. Used to be a huge difference, but I don't find any difference these days. And I'm going to search for me. That's not me. You can see that's not me. I wish I was a famous author and musician. I mean, holy cow, this guy. And that's James McBride, the writer. Now, some of you have very unique names, and you're going to type in your unique name, and boom, there you are. Others of you are like me and have 4 million James McBrides in the world. And so, how do you find yourself? I have found that a lot of younger folks do not know how to really do a search. They just kind of, and this is good to know for you because you're in college and you can save yourself a ton of time. So what's the difference between James McBride and quote James McBride? Oh yeah, you can't answer because you're not here right now. James McBride without quotes will look for the name McBride, and it'll look for the name James, and it'll look for the name McBride James, and it'll look for James McBride. When you put something in quotes, then it's only looking for that, James McBride, not McBride James, not James on its own, not McBride on its own. Now, for me, that's not going to change too many things here because I've got this hugely famous person right below my picture there. But that's something you need to know. You're looking for something specific, put it in quotes. Now, the next thing you can do is you can add to that. This is going to work. And this is one of the steps you have to do. Were you ever in an article in a newspaper? Were you part of Knowledge Bowl, football, basketball, blah, blah, blah? You know, there's tons of stuff. Add something about you there. And oh my goodness, there's Grow with Google that we're doing, eac.edu. That's the Google page. And there's me. There's my phone number at work. Right? Reskill your new career at EAC. I didn't even know we had a reskill page, but there it is. There's Facebook. I mentioned on there too. Wow. You know, and then again, hey, here's pictures of James McBride, which is not me. There's please contact James McBride. The summer class is in June. That was in 2020. Right. So any of this stuff is me. Oh no, that's his reviews. I was going to say, that's don't look at the review. Anyway, so this is something I would check. I'm sure that's not my account, but you want to check your Facebook account not being logged in and see what it shows about you. And if you don't like what it shows, then go change it. You do have to be careful with the images, but I would check the images and see if you see yourself in there, right? Just see someplace in here. I'm probably on the 180th page, but someplace I'm in here, and you don't have to go to that length. So I'm showing you that what you want to do is search for yourself without quotes, search for yourself with quotes, and then finally search for yourself with something about you. And very rarely, I'll usually have 1 or 2 students a year that won't find anything about themselves. And usually I'll have people that'll find quite a bit. And it's kind of cool, but then people start to realize, wait a minute, anybody in the world could search on this. And maybe that's not cool, right? Now, the next thing is you're gonna search public records. Now, public records happen when you start paying bills. That's really when it happens. And the services that do that are really kind of weird. I'm going to go to Spokio. And there's a ton of other ones. Whoops, those are images. I didn't want Spokio. So here's background checks. You could do that one if you want. There's People Looker. And here's Spokio. So you can really try any of these, but most of them will give you information without you having to pay. They want you to stare at pages and stare at advertisements. And so most of this is kind of hokey, I'll just show you. James McBride, search. And it'll go, I'm searching through all these records and it's going to take me forever to do this. And it's like, aren't you a computer? Shouldn't this take a lot quicker time? And it really makes it look like it's doing something, but it's not. They want you to kind of really be into this because later on they're going to ask you for some dollars, right, to get that information. And, unfortunately, there's tons of people here. But hey, look, there's some in Arizona. And I can go and look at those people. Who are these? Who are this? And there's one in Safford. No way. I wonder who that is. Okay, that's my dad. So I'm not 80. And no, he doesn't live at Coda at all. And you will see that. You'll see some stuff that they kind of just throw in there. because they don't want to give you the correct information until you unlock the profile. But what I want you to do is just actually go and look and see if you're out there. Now, here's the thing. Actually, my dad was in Lawrence, Kansas, and it's actually got part of a number there, and he's not there anymore. But he was there. Lawrence, Kansas, Pima, Arizona. So he's in Pima. That's where he's at. And you can actually, I don't think it's Spokio. I think it's Instant Checkmate. And they actually show you a picture of where the persons have lived. It'll even show you their current address of where they live if you're willing to unlock the profile. And you don't have to do that. I'm not asking anybody to spend any money. Most of you, because you're young, you won't find yourself. Because again, you have to have paid some kind of utility bill or something. So when you don't find yourself, I want you to search, don't find yourself, and then search for your mom, search for your dad, search for your uncle, search for somebody. It'll even pull up information about court cases and records and stuff like that. This honestly helped a student 2 semesters ago. I had a woman, she put in her information and she didn't pay anything, although I told her she probably should and find out. And it came up with two hits on her full name. So she put in her full name and it showed the one in Arizona and that she had 3 kids and their ages. And she's like, it's not showing the kids' names, but it's showing that's me. I can tell because those are the ages of my kids. And that exact same thing was coming up in Wisconsin. And she said, why would this be happening? And I said, either it's wrong, right? It's totally bogus, or somebody is taking your social security number and used it. I said, if I were you, I would pay that money and I would see if those are identical. If they are identical, I would get hold of my bank immediately. And they're a good place to go because you can say, hey, I have this problem, and they'll tell you exactly what to do. But she would have to talk to Social Security Department. Somebody's using her name out there, and she didn't know it until she used a product like this and saw her and her identical person in a different state, and that should not happen. But once you get done with that, tell me what you found. That's really what's on that screen, and I'll copy that in as you saw on the assignment. Tell me what you found and how you feel about it, because if you know somebody's name, you can find them. And if I pay this, I will be able to see my dad's house. I'll be able to see exactly where he lives.